Hello, fellow poker enthusiasts. I'm Joel Smith, your host for The Final Table, the show made by and for weekend warriors, home game heroes, and low-stakes grinders chasing that next big score without quitting their day jobs. Whether you're crushing the 1-2 live games, battling micro-stakes online, or just trying not to tilt after a bad beat in your buddy's home game, this is your spot. We keep it real. No pro-level GTO solver talk unless it's simplified for us mortals. Just practical tips, funny stories, and inspiration from players like you who turned a small buy-in into something memorable. Let's get this started. Welcome everyone, and please welcome our guest, Steve Belland. He's a local grinder from the great state of Minnesota, here to share stories of his personal poker journey. Thanks for joining us, and how you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great, Joel. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, let's start out by having you tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Okay, I grew up in Bagley area up there. I went to school up in Clearbrook, Gonvick, graduated out of there, and then all my family is over here in Bagley, so I'm pretty much call this base home around Bagley, Minnesota, which is up by Bemidji, Minnesota, for those not around here.
Okay. Do you have a family? Kids?
Yep. I got my parents. They live just south of Bagley, between Bagley and Lake Itasca State Park out there. And I have a daughter who she turns 20 on Saturday, and my son 14. And my daughter, she's over at going to UND right now for in college right now. So she's going through the ROTC program through the military also there. And I'm just recently getting her involved in some poker. So she played her first tournament here a couple weeks ago, just try it out. And she didn't last too long in there, but she had a good time.
I bet that was a proud father moment, though, to see her playing, huh?
Absolutely was. The whole situation was just a proud moment there because we're playing out at a local tours tournament out in Spirit Lake Casino out there, and then they had a $250 buy-in, I believe it was, which had multi flights, and I think it had 6 flights, I believe, in to get into day 2, and my daughter was going to come out there and just visit me out there because it was only an hour away from college there. So she drove over to see me out at the casino out there. Fortunately, the tour owner was like, hey, this casino, you can play when you're 19. Because a lot of Minnesota is basically 21. And a lot of play, I think North Dakota, a lot of it's 21 there too to play. So except reservation casinos, you can 19 and up. Well, then we were just joking around about it. I was like, hey, maybe we should buy you in there. And my girlfriend Dana and I were like, well, let's do it. Well, then this gentleman from Bismarck, who was a great buddy of mine, Brad Magnus, he heard us talking about it, and he's like, hey, I'll buy her in here. So she's going to play because I want to buy her in there. We just kind of blew it off. And well, then I went upstairs to use them. Then Dana comes to me, she's like, no, Brad just basically gave me money to buy her in. And
that's awesome.
So that was pretty neat there to see the poker players taking care of each other. And she just could not believe that was happening, that someone that she didn't know was willing to pay $250 just to buy her into a tournament just for her experience. So it was like you said, it was a proud dad moment. It was a proud dad just environment. It was great. Great fun.
That's a great introduction for her into that poker scene too, just seeing the generosity of others and the community. That's really cool.
And then she didn't realize either that Poker News was actually covering that there too, which is, as we were just talking about, nationwide thing there. So her very first hand, she got it. She bet out pocket 8s there, and she was kind of nervous. There's a bunch of people in hand there, and she ended up winning her very first hand she ever was in. So Poker News covered that, and
she's famous now.
Be right there and put it on their national thing there. So she's got a record of her very first hand she ever played.
That's great. You have to put that in a scrapbook.
That was, we've got it all saved for her.
Awesome. So when did you first get introduced to playing cards? Was it as a kid with family, or how did you get started?
I just started dabbling with, I saw people playing poker, but I didn't really know what was going on. I'd go to the casinos there and hear people getting names called, and didn't understand what was going on for that. And I'd play a lot of blackjack back then. this was early 20 teens there, and I was living down in Minneapolis area there too, and so we'd go to Canterbury Park there, and but I never played any poker there at that time, and just didn't. And I think that's about the time when Ku Bang had just won that year, and I'm like, oh, I think we were there that Sunday when he won. He won $65,000 or wherever it was there. And I was like, oh, this might have something to it, you know. And well, then I started dabbing around in the $100 tournaments and met a couple gentlemen that like, hey, let's do some poker training together. And so we started jumping online, doing some poker training through, at that time was a guy from Europe, Nick Welfall, that was online, which was kind of neat. And then from there, just started playing some more local tournaments here and started to get a little bit successful to them. And then I thought, well, I just won a tournament for $3,000 or $4,000. So, and I'm working down the cities, and they had a little tournament going on over at Grand Falls. That this little company called MSPT was playing over there. So I thought, well, let's go over and try this $1,100. You know, what have I got to lose there? Mm-hmm. Well, then I saw that they had $250 buy-ins for satellites. So I thought, well, let's get there Friday night, and I'll try one of them. If not, I'll bring the $1,100 to buy in at least. You know, so I do at least fire one bullet in there or whatever. Well, I played the satellite that Friday night and won a seat. Well, that was great. I felt really good there, and then come that Saturday morning there, then I ended up playing it, and I bagged the lowest chip lead or lowest chip stack on the thing. I think I bagged 33,000. And one of my friends, Brett Kuznia, the very last hand, I was all in. He'll tell you that story if you ever have you met Brett at all?
I haven't.
Okay, he had won. He's from up in north, up by Roseville area, up there in Minnesota there. But it's another small town guy, just like me, from just a good guy. But we got in the hand. We were both all in on the bubble of that, and I had Jack 10, and he had pocket queens, and he bet, and I raised, he re-raised, and I shoved all in for my. I think I had probably 25,000 left at that time, and and he thought about it, tanked, and then he folded. Well, he folded his queen's face up, and I folded my Jack 10 and showed him there, and we're like, oh, well, I ended up with 30. The very next hand, someone busted the bubble there, so we all bagged. So he bagged like 38,000, I bagged 33,000, so we both made it to the next day. Well, lo and behold, him and I both ended up making the final table that day also. I ended up going on to take, I believe I took second place in that one there, which had some pretty good people on there. We had John Morgan, which is a billionaire out of Minneapolis. A great guy, just
legendary
a friend of mine there. Got to know him very well over the years. And I know Everett Carlson, I believe, was on there, and then Brett Kuznia, and there was a bunch of other names on there too. I can't ring off the top of my head there, but Luke Blindert, he's a known guy from Metro guys. He's from Iowa there, but he's a well-known player down there too. But I know there's a couple more on there too. But that was my introduction, and then getting.
Hold on. So let me get this right. This is your first $1,100 tournament.
Yes.
And you get second place in it.
Yes, I ran.
Oh my goodness.
Day 2, I ran like a god there. I remember the very first hand that day. Come back Sunday morning at pocket jacks. Well, I think we come back. The blinds were, I believe, at that time were 1,500 and 3,000. So I had 10 big blinds or 11 big blinds so officially, and I got all in pocket jacks against pocket tens. They were one a quick double up, and then a couple of hands later there, I think I had pocket kings against pocket tens, and got another double up where I had some room there, and then throughout the day just was slowly built up there. And I remember when the final table come there. That Luke Blinder come with like 1 million, and everybody else had about 700,000-800,000. So he had a good little chunk there, and I remember just like, God, I wish I had that many chips there too. You know, I was in his position, and it wasn't a matter of long where I got put in that position where I was basically up there near the chip leader. And then the worst story of this whole little segment here is I got heads up with this Josh. I don't remember what his last name was there, from Iowa there, and we both had 2.41 million, he had 2.4 million, and we got all in, and I had pocket tens, and I raised, he re-raised, I raised again, he shoved all in, I called,
Yeah.
and I show my pocket tens, he shows his pocket eights,
Oh.
and then the flop come up king 10 7. Right there, I'm just like, all right, this is 90% plus to win right
Yeah.
here. And then the turn comes a nine, or turn comes the jack. Turn comes the jack, so it was king 10 7 jack. And I'm not saying, still thinking, oh, this is pretty good. He hits an eight, it doesn't matter, whatever. And the only thing I could lose it for would be a nine. So kind of standing up watching, and the dealer just looked around, slowly peeled it over. There's that nine. So
Oh.
left me with 100,000 in chips there, and took the wind right out of the sails. And then the very next hand, they got ace nine against ace six, and I think flop come up 6 6 6 or something.
Yeah.
That was the end of the tournament there. But so that was it was a good welcome, as you said there. My very first $1,100 tournament, but then
Yeah.
and it's bittersweet to run that deep and to get that lucky. And
Do you remember the emotions after that at all yet? I mean, did that stick with you, or were you able to kind of shake it off?
it did. I mean, to have that kind of money on your very first tournament was great. But then,
Yeah.
but God, I could have just double that, But still, I just went through, the roller coaster emotion. Yeah, to when you talk about it right now, I do remember every feeling that I had there over
Mm.
each card that got peeled there. I just feel it right here. It's still
Yeah.
just, but
But
yeah,
were you hooked since then? I mean, I think if I would have had that kind of success in that very first tournament, I'd be like, I think I'm going to be a professional at this. This is pretty good.
yeah. Oh, I worked a lot of construction, so it's tough for me to get away and play. I did play several other tournaments and had some pretty good success the rest of that year. I'd played like four or five more MSPTs, and it's tough to cash MSPT, but I just very fortunate enough to. I was a tight player at the time there, and I just grounding. I was grinding enough to get into the money every time. Where a lot of small min caches, but I was there. So and then I thought, well, this could be a fun little hobby. I've, I always kept it as that 10, 12 years later. I still consider it. Poker will always be a hobby. If I have to wake up one day and make it when it feels like work, I don't want to play poker no more. So
Yeah, that's a good attitude to have, I think. So have you been studying this entire time throughout the years, or did you just pretty much focus early on the studying part of it?
that's an awesome question because a lot of people do ask me that right there. And yeah, I do. I do a lot of studying there. I did basically a lot of the books. I've got them all. Anybody wants some books? I got some poker books I can give away there. I'm sure they're all outdated now, but I've got a good stack, probably about 10, 15 of the big thick books there that
Mm.
I went through and I could probably quote you a few lines on each one of them that
Mm.
just you read something that sticks to your head there. And um, but through that there too, I did stick with Nick Wolfall there several years, and then I was fortunate in 2017, I believe it was. Um, Chip leader coaching was just coming out, and they took applications, and they only accepted I think it was 20, 30 people around the nation to mentor, and then they opened it up and they accepted a few more. So I thought, oh, I'll try this out there, and they had different ranges. They had like 500,000 in Hendon Mob and above. Then they had like between 200 and 400,000. And at that time, I was sitting under 100,000. So they had a group of 100,000 or less.
Hmm.
So I put my name in there, and had some recent success in MSPTs. It cashed, I think, five now in a row. And Nick Jikov was a part of that at the time there. He's a big grinder, bigger. I believe he's from Iowa there originally there, but now he's living out in Vegas there. But I had met him at Running Ace, or I'm sorry, Canterbury, and he's like, hey, he's like, you'd be a good candidate. He's like, we see you on MSPT lately a lot in the stats and stuff. Would you be interested in? He's like, put your application in, and sure enough, out of I believe it was in the hundreds of applications they said they went through, they only accepted a few people in there, and we signed a contract, and for the next couple of years, I learned a lot through that.
Okay. So what kind of a training program did they have at that time for it?
At that time, At that time, it was Chance Corneth. And, he was one of the big ones involved in there, and then eventually we got Alex Foxen in there, and then they have several other good ones in there too. Just off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly who they
Big
all.
names though, huge names in the industry.
Yeah, so a lot of big names were. they would give us one-on-one training,
Mm.
or they'd give us group trainings on there where
Mm-hmm.
it'd be online, like something like this. And they also had videos of them playing a tournament, and they'd explain through these videos. They have hundreds of hours of videos. A lot of stuff become like Alex Fox, and he just become the GPI Player of the Year, and all that stuff fun. And so it was fun to watch a lot of them, a lot of their thinking, and they'd go through and explain each hand through a whole tournament there. And they do a lot of online trainings, situational trainings. So, and their training wasn't just basic GTO, high poker, high stuff. It was a lot of this basic lower level what to do situations on all aspects from bar poker. And that was their biggest focus from the beginning. You taught it all, because if you just skipped over the bottom players, the beginners, and just went right up to the pros, you're not, and you're going to have to play against a lot of us beginners, rec players, and players. You're gonna have to go against us, and the pros have to go against us in
Mm-hmm.
the tournaments too. So they want to see what we're doing too as rec players to the pros. So they are trying to keep an eye. So they're teaching a lot of more of what the rec players are doing also, and what to do against the aggressive rec players, what to do against the knowledgeable Joel Smith players, or or the the ones that are just starting out. They're also like my daughter. You'd be like, well, play
Yeah.
against her cautiously, because she might not be playing the best line situation, which
Mm-hmm.
so it's a big variety, and it was a great. They were a great team to be with there at the time there,
Was
and
there
they
anything particular in that training that really stood out as a difference maker for you, or was it building blocks and just the entire foundation of it was really what made a difference for you?
I never knew what a range was. I never knew. I never. That was in none of the books. Looking at TJ, looking Doyle's books, they never
Mm.
talked about ranges. And ranges kind of, in my opinion, come on like 2015, 16, 17, where people
Mm-hmm.
started saying, look at ranges. And I'm like, so I learned about ranges a lot through chip leader coaching, where if right now you're listening to this and you don't understand ranges, I tell you what, that's a big hole in your boat right now, because it's a good leak there. Learn a little bit about ranges, because that is it's a big leak in everybody's poker by putting people on and knowing how to react to them, react to their play and their style.
Mm-hmm.
So by putting someone on a range, it's so big right nowadays. Position, yes, that's big, and the range is right there with position. I'd say range and position are the big two fundamentals of poker.
There you heard it here, folks. A couple of things to work on. Plenty of content online to help teach you that stuff. So dive in if you have an interest for sure.
Yes, it's very simple to look a lot of that stuff up now. They have so much stuff on range training right now too, which is very big.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, right now it's position, range training, and then your poker, your bankroll management are your top three things that I definitely study, because I won't go play tournaments if I haven't got 3 buy-ins, 4 buy-ins readily. I mean, why go play a tournament? Just there's a lot of people who want to take a chance. So I only got 1 buy-in, I'm going to go play it, but it's not optimal poker though either. It's
Yeah.
with today's with the way that today goes. I mean, I've watched a lot of my buddies buying in 10, 15 times into some of these casino tournaments, and to just go there with 1 buy-in and expect to do very good, it's kind of against you already. So.
Do you have a close circle of friends that you talk about hands with, or are you kind of a lone wolf out there?
I guess that's a good question there too. I don't have a lot of people I talk directly to live. A lot of mine is online. I'd say 90% of my training, talking online on
Mm.
these courses and with people. I do pay a lot, for a lot of the training on there. I join a lot of these people on site there now, so it's. But yeah, I mean, several ones which I'm not just name dropping, but chip leader coaching is one I still follow, and Jaka coaching is one I highly follow there, and then GTO Wizard is one that um, I do follow pretty much daily on
Mm-hmm.
there. Free time when you're driving, you can uh, flick on, listen to something, listen to a podcast, listen to a video, and you
Right.
can learn a lot of them there too.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, just to put a little bit of perspective into Steve's success, I did look him up on Hendon Mob, and he has just under 500,000 in caches showing up on Hendon Mob. So, and I was scrolling down looking at the caches, and frankly, my finger got tired because there were so many caches as I'm scrolling down. Definitely the time you're putting in appears to be paying off. Are you still playing quite a few tournaments, or what's your schedule look like in a year for tournament play?
I do. I try to play one or two tournaments a month. At least try to keep maintaining that to keep playing there. I don't play online at all right now. I never really been an online player. I probably say I probably played under 20, less than 20 tournaments in my life online.
Mm-hmm.
But then the bigger tournaments, I'll play probably $2,000 or $3,000 or more tournaments a year.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, majority of my tournaments, as you can see, like I've got over a couple hundred tournament caches, but majority of them are $300 or less. I'd say 90% of them are probably $300 or less tournaments because for locale wise, that's really all I've got around up in northern Minnesota, North Dakota. I do frequent a lot of between Dakota Poker Tour, Rough Rider Poker Tour, 701, and a lot of them local tournaments. Which, but still, for a $300 tournament, $5,000-$6,000 first place prize, or 60 to 150 person field, you still get a lot of fun out of them.
Yeah, and there's some stiff competition. The players that play these tournaments have done well elsewhere too, including at the World Series of Poker.
Yes, I just played in a $500 event last weekend at Running Aces there, and I believe they said there was four bracelet winners in that tournament there, along with one table. They're bragging that a bunch of them all had rings, from the circuits, and so I mean, there's bracelets, there's rings, there's it's all trophies, So yeah, so the Minnesota poker scene is a lot of very good players, a lot of, and I guess I could branch it out to the North Dakota also because I know I played with a couple bracelet players out there, and I'll give my girlfriend the props there too. She's a bracelet winner, also Dana Castaneda. So I get some royalty on my arm.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't got a bracelet, but I've got a bracelet.
Yep, right. Yeah, that's some. Yeah, congratulations, Dana. That's awesome. I saw it at the tournament we were just at, and oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, I am true in that aspect of it there too, because there's not many. First of all, there's not many people in Minnesota, North Dakota that have bracelets,
Mm-hmm.
and then yet alone ladies that have bracelets either. There's not many either, and I believe at that time she was one of the first women in the United States to win an Open or something like that, and they were doing an article on her. Then here this woman named Lonnie Harwood. I don't know if you heard of her, but
Mm-hmm.
she comes by and then she wins two of them right after to take the limelight off Dana. So it's kind of like Dana's like, it's all great, but screw Lonnie Harwood.
Yeah,
But
right.
Dana's props, and Lonnie actually become a good friend of Dana's also. So it
That's
was,
really cool.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your FPN Nationals week. How'd that go for you?
That was a great, and it was just a great unexpected. I didn't know for sure if I was going to make it out there at all, and Dana talked me into coming out there with her because I was working out in Alabama at the time, and
Hmm.
so I'd fly back and then fly out there again. So once we got out there, we landed and jumped into the tournament right away. We played high roller there and uh, got lucky to final table that with Eric Casa from Wapaton over there, and
Mm-hmm.
this guy played locally around here. So here we're out there nationals playing heads up for the high roller title there, which was pretty fun the very first night. So that was a great start to the weekend. And Eric won. Eric won that one heads up. So I actually come in second on that one there. And then the
But
very
a good
next,
start to the trip, right?
that was a very good start to the trip there. And then we had the FP and the national championship won the next night there for the $12,000 in seats. And I believe we had just under 340 entrants, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
to that one right there. And that was it was a fun field. Got to meet a lot of people, and then got to reacquaint with a lot of people I met the prior year. I went out there and played there with a lot of them there too. So, and it was a long day, and had a lot of things go right, and I come down to the final table there, and it's just amazing to see a bunch of ladies on the final table also that weave their way through the. And it was a tough field. I mean, I'm not going to go around it at all. There was a lot of good players in the field, a lot of good poker I saw get played there that day, and I was very fortunate to make it up to the final table there. And when it come down to it down there, that Glenn Schaefer, and that was just I mean, I just get the goosebumps right now just with that because we just a little follow up with Glenn there. He'd been that's his 20th year now that he played it there at the Nationals, and he'd a few cashes, a couple final tables possibly along the way there, but nothing big. And this was big to him. He was telling me stories throughout the day. Got to meet him throughout the day, then got to see him again on the final table, and then he had told me stories where he walked the bar poker because he couldn't get a ride, couldn't this and that, and there was just so many stories that just it was just amazing. This guy deserved it. And he was really emotional after when it happened, and I think that emotion just run off on all of us. It was amazing.
Definitely did. I actually had him on the podcast in the very first episode, and yeah, he shared the same story, and I made the comment in that one that I think you were just as excited about him winning as he was excited about winning. It was really cool to see the two of you up there and just that emotion and everything coming out. It was amazing.
Yes, like I said, that I could tell Dan afterwards. That's probably, if not that was the most memorable poker moment I had, and just that feeling for him.
Mm-hmm.
We both got the same package and trophies, but his emotion just made him the winner in that whole tournament. So
yeah. Do you remember any interesting hands that occurred during that tournament? Any suck outs that you might have had, or big folds you made, or anything like that?
There was a couple times there throughout the day. There did make some big folds. I think on the video there, I think I laid down Ace King to all in there.
I might have been part of that hand.
Yeah.
There were three of us that had Ace King in one hand. I don't know if you recall that one.
Yes, yeah. I did rewatch that there, and I did realize that it was a decent fold, but
I wish you would have went all in. It would have probably worked out where we all chopped it. I think that would have been a better outcome for me.
Yeah, I think when Dan and I watched it, I think she said the same thing too. Things would have changed if had it been played different there, but
you made the right choice.
I got lucky enough to make the right choice right there at that time there, and it ended up working out there. But yeah, throughout the day though, I know a lot of the rec poker guys that were there. I was getting a lot of aces, and I'd bet any ace and I'd show it, and by the middle of the tournament, if I bet he's got an ace, they'd just fold. It was a fun day like that, but you don't see that in a lot of the bigger tournaments. But it was fun in this one just because that's the way that it ended up working out there. But
yeah.
And then that, like I said, at the final table too, there was a hand I think Glenn had he had Jack 7 against my Jack 8 or something, or whatever it was on there. He had something with a 7 there. He hit the 7 and I hit the 8, and he pushed me up. Him and I were the two chip leaders there, and he pushed 1.6 million into 1.4 million or something like that. And the next stack was probably under $1 million at that time. It wasn't a lot, but and then I ended up folding there just with the best hand, but I still think it was correct, and result wise, it was correct. So.
Yeah, that was an interesting hand, and I remember after the hand, he came over and talked to me on the side and said, I don't know why we're playing against each other in these hands. We were the two big stacks. And I mentioned to him, I said, Steve recognized that, and he thinks he was ahead. He said he was ahead. He thought he was ahead, but he didn't want to get into a situation where something uncontrollable happened right there, I think.
Yeah, watching back, I think I did hear that on the camera there too, where I said that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm ahead of you here, but I don't need to risk my chips right now.
Yeah, no, that's part of the decision making of poker, and those decisions can win you or lose you the tournament. And that's probably the hardest part for newer players to understand, I think. I mean, a lot of times you're just looking at your cards and playing what they are, but there's a lot of other factors you have to consider, like the situation and what will happen if I lose this. Am I a short stack then? And right now I'm a medium stack, and that can make a big difference.
Well said there, absolutely. a small fold is as good as a big win sometimes.
Right.
And when I'm saying a small fold, you're not losing many chips by folding, but you could have lost a big stack, or by calling. So yeah, folds can win you the tournament also.
Yes, for sure. Did you play anything else that weekend? Just before you get there, I just want to talk briefly about how you did in a summary. So, Royal Court National Championship, you were one of the two winners for 12,000. And then in the high roller, you ended up heads up. Eric was on a. I actually interviewed Eric. That will be posted before this one is, and
Yeah,
he said that you guys worked out I think it was a 4-way chop, so everybody won a decent amount of money, and then played out for the trophy. So more money for you there, and then you got four $100 bounties too. It looked like, according to what I read online.
yeah. I had a bunch of bounties, so that was nice there too. And yeah, it's just a bonus.
Yeah. Did you play anything else while you're out there then?
I did go over. I went and played the circuit that was playing at Planet Hollywood. I went and played the main event over there. That was a $1,700 buy-in. Yeah, I just basically, I think we played to level 19, and I think I played up to level 18 and just blinded out whatever one level before bag, and I just ended up blinded out, busted out there. So never never had anything work out that day. I think I used all my luck up the day before there, but
Yeah.
so but
But but it was fun to be in the trenches though, and that was for a ring, right? A World Series of Poker circuit ring.
yes, that was for the ring there, and I got to sit across. There's some pretty good known people. I don't know, Kathy Liebert. She's got a pretty good recognition in the poker world there. And just trying to think, Shannon Shore, and he's got 10 million plus. He was on my table there, and there's a couple more there too that I got to play with there too, and so it was a good trip. It's just fun to rub shoulders with some of the better poker players here also.
Mm-hmm. What do you do for preparation for a tournament? That might be a question some people will be interested in. How
That's
do you get ready?
that's absolutely a great question there, because a lot of people just don't realize but it's really big to do a little studying, do an hour worth of studying, right before a poker tournament. Get your get your mindset right for poker, because if you come there and from partying the night before or whatever, and thinking about all the stuff, your mind is in. It takes you a while to recollect and actually realize what's going on, because as soon as you sit down at that table when them cards going, you should be able to start getting a read off every person and trying to place it, rather than trying to remember what happened, or trying to block out what happened last night or what happened the night before.
Mm-hmm.
But if you come there with your mindset, read a book about poker, or just put on a little video for 15 minutes. Just get your mind going in the poker situation there, because it's just like warming up in a basketball game. If you go play basketball or football or whatever, you go play the sports, and you're not warmed up. As soon as you get going, your body's trying to catch up, and here your mind's trying to catch up. So you're letting a lot of great information pass you if you're not ready for it as soon as some cards start flying. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've actually my wife has laughed at me a couple of times because I've done this, but in some of these bigger events, I actually will go try to find a quiet spot, put in headphones, and listen to a meditation type recording from Primed Mind that's kind of tailored towards poker. And I don't know, sometimes it feels like it just kind of gives me the right mindset to play. I don't know if my result would have been any different had I not listened to it, but in my head, it's something that I need to do sometimes.
that's a great point on there too. A lot of time you'll see me before a tournament. I'll be out walking out in the parking lot all by myself. But a lot of time I'm thinking of, I see some of the people there that might be at my table, and so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to play. I'm just kind of getting my mind set. And a lot of time I'll go in there and watch, see who's at my table. I'm going to be at there before I sit down. Whatever. I'll just kind of go get my mind like, oh, I'm going to play against this person, this person. I see these people here. So
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of strategy to get your mind focused, get you right in the right mindset there. So,
Yeah,
and I
and I
believe it does help.
and I think I've noted that you're pretty into health and wellness too. Do you think that plays a role in how your results look in poker?
That's one thing I should actually keep track of is from where I work out prior to a tournament to the tournaments I don't. And mentally, I can say if I think back right now, I feel that is 100% a big thing there. When I do work out, before a tournament there, it goes along with having the right mindset for the tournament there. You just feel good. You feel much better. I'm not slouched down. I'm sitting up. Just because I feel good. Just
Mm-hmm.
right there. So having the physical aspect to it too is big. And another person like Aaron Johnson from Minnesota, a lot of people here might know who he is there. I mean, he's one of a crusher from Minnesota that's just done tremendously well here in Minnesota and WSOP. And him and I grew up back about the same time. Started playing. We used to joke around back and forth. We were playing a lot of these Canterbury running aces, and then even some MSPTs together. And we're Hendon Mob. We're like side by side. 1 week I'll be at 78,000 and he's at 80,000, and then next week at night, and we're like joking around. I got you this week. Next week,
Mm-hmm.
we'd be joking around about it. And now here I'm sitting where I'm at right now, and he's at 3.5 million. So there's a big difference there. But you know what? Aaron took physical. If you look at him now, he's in tip-top shape. He goes on and runs miles a day. He's very particular on what he eats there, and him and I have talked over the years on stuff on our diets and things like that. And it's a big thing. It's a big thing for mind and soul to be on one. And when you're on the table there, it tremendously helps, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have admired your play, your playing style, your results, even as far as your hat. You were the first one I saw wearing a Black Clover Live Lucky hat, and I saw it said Live Lucky on the side, and I was like, that's not a bad motto to live by, and it's even in the closing of my podcast. So it's been really, really cool to watch you and get to know you. Is there a piece of advice you'd give to someone just starting out?
The biggest advice starting out there is if you get a chance, play a lot of the smaller tournaments, but watch your bankrolls. But get as much repetition and get as much hands in as you can. These bar pokers, I think that's how I actually started learning to play a lot of the smaller bars when I'm working on construction. I'd go at night there, go play the bar poker. We didn't have the FBN, which I wish we did back then, because but we had a lot of you buy in for $10, $20 at the bar, and I got to get a lot of repetition where you learn a lot of how people play their style, and you can learn a lot, and you can learn a lot of actual real emotion in the tournament there too. You can get a lot of good reads. That's where I feel I get a lot of best reads are playing these FPNs a lot, because that's real emotion. People aren't hiding it. People aren't masking it, because it's raw emotion, raw when they're doing their stuff. It's, rather you get up the bigger terms, people are trying to reverse tell, this, that. They're read not to do this, where you play on a lot of the FPN levels where they're focusing on their cards, rather than the other stuff right now. So, but I'd say get a lot of, when you're playing a lot of these tournaments, rec tournaments and stuff, that's the best place to learn. Watch what people are doing, take notes in your mind how certain people play, and tell you what, it's going to carry with you into the bigger tournaments. You're going to be watching them. You're going to be watching good players, their tendencies, and it's going to make you a better player in the long run.
Yeah, definitely agree with you on all of that. Well, Steve, we've been talking for about 40 minutes. This has gone by super fast.
That went by really quick.
Yeah. So we should probably consider wrapping it up. Thanks, Steve, for taking the time to join us today at the final table. Really enjoyed you sharing your stories along with some of the personal side of poker with our audience.
Well, I appreciate you and I appreciate all this, and definitely be watching a lot of your podcasts here in the future here there too. And then hopefully I'm going to get my daughter up the bar there and have her, after her first couple wins there, have her come join your podcast one day also.
We definitely will welcome her. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, Joel. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, everyone, if you enjoyed this podcast, please take a moment to share, like, and subscribe so we can continue to share these interesting and fun stories with poker fans. Until next time, be kind to others and live just a little bit lucky. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Joel.